Hey everyone, welcome back to
Hello.
another episode of K6 Office Hours. As usual, I'm Marie. I'm one of your dev roles here at K6. Today we have two very special guests. Let's start with Pepe. Pepe, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. I am not the guest, so I'm Pepe from the K6 team. I am here today to replace I think Paul, that he's on vacation. We're also on the DevRel team, primarily on technical content, and looking forward to hear from Ankur what he's coming to tell us.
Awesome. Anchor, yeah. Would you like to
Yeah.
introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I am Ankur Narkhede. I am working with the product engineering team at LambdaTest. I am working to make testing for your products way more easier to make testing a breeze, so that you can test your applications in a way more faster way. That's about me. And we'll be talking mostly about K6 and the other CDP-based frameworks. Yeah,
Nice.
nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's great to have you here with us today, Anchor. But before we jump into what the actual session is going to be about today, there's a lot of announcements actually from both the K6 team and the Lambda Test team. I guess for starters, we've actually just recently announced the Grafana forum and the K6 forum migration. So this is something new, that we've done. So I think the official launch date for the migration is, I think it's next week, the 25th of July. We've written a blog post about it, so I'll add it on the comment section, but it's also on the video description already down below. So if you're interested as to why we've done it and how does it impact you as a community user, then check out the blog post that our community support engineer Ima wrote. We've also released the video for the KSIX News June and July 2023 roundup. So just go to our YouTube channel and you'll see the latest video from the DevRel team. And finally, I think from the K6 side, we have a very special announcement to make. So this is just very recent, but we have a new pricing model for the Grafana Cloud K6 customers, which is focused more on the fractional virtual user hour model. What this means is for new customers who wants to use Grafana Cloud K6, it's become significantly cheaper, more transparent as well, in terms of our pricing model. So if you're, looking to run like shorter tests to our Grafana Cloud K6, then the pricing for that is much cheaper. Anything to add, Pepe, from your side about it or?
Yes, we say because the chain has not changed, the name have not changed too much. We say that now we charge you by minute, and that is a big change in comparison what we have before. Now, if you run a test of 10 minutes, you will just pay for the 10 minutes that runs the test. Before we were rounding up for the hour. That was the common thing for some enterprise customers, and we got the feedback from the customer and the community that they were looking for this type of price, and that gets aligned on how they are using the cloud product. More shorter tests, more frequently, and the feedback that we have gotten from everyone is great, because I think that is the pricing model that really fits well for our commercial product. So big announcement. We will be writing about it soon.
Cool. And then from LambdaTest side, there's gonna be a free virtual conference called TESMO Conference 2023. I'll actually be doing a talk about a hybrid approach to performance testing, and K6 will have a virtual booth for the duration of the conference. So if you have any, questions that you want to ask, the DevRel team, like if it's related to K6 browser or just K6 in general, or you want to ask us like generic questions about performance testing, then make sure that you register at TESMO. it's free. There's a lot of amazing, awesome speakers as well, and it's just a great way to network with the developer and testing community. So if you want to learn about the latest trends in testing and test automation, then check out TestMo conference by LambdaTest. Okay.
Mary, you have forgotten to say that you speak at the conference as well.
Ah, okay. Yes, yes. I'll be talking as well. So, my talk is about like a hybrid approach to performance testing. I think my talk is on the first day. So, if you want to know how you can leverage both the protocol tests and your browser tests, and why a hybrid, is much better than, I guess, choosing one over the other, then yeah, check out my talk at TESMU conference. I think announcement wise, that's all we have. So Anchor, back to you. Like, what do you do at Lambda Test?
Yeah. So about me, I am specifically working with the frameworks built upon Chrome DevTools Protocol. So we are working on to support all of the frameworks like K6, Playwright, Puppeteer, Tycho, as well as Selenium 4, which are built upon the Chrome DevTools Protocol, which offers far better communication with the browser in terms of debugging it and in terms of instrumentation. Yeah, so we are also working on to speaking about Chrome DevTools Protocol with Playwright. So we are also working on to integrate it with real devices, that is with Pixel 5, Pixel 6, etc. That means the real Android devices. We recently integrated K6 because it was a huge demand from users, as users are using it in a hybrid mode. And we realized that using K6, it's not just for it's not just for the load testing purpose, but users were using K6 for load testing plus the end-to-end testing automation. That means they can simply write a test script for K6 with K6 and run it across multiple OS browser combinations, browser versions, as well as with all the capabilities that LambdaTest provides. That is geolocations, time zones, and the multiple capabilities. So that it completes their both purposes. That is load testing of their applications as well as testing their application in the end-to-end manner. So yeah, that's why we integrated K6, and yeah, we are happy to see various customers are getting onboarded and using the product.
That's
Great.
awesome. Yeah. I think that's one of the real beauty of, OSS projects, like, and, the different, I guess, like third party integration. Because, like you said, a lot of our users not only want to use K6 for load testing, but they also want to use it for other use cases, depending
Yeah.
on their testing needs. I'm curious to know, so apart from K6, what other testing frameworks do Lambda Test integrate with?
Yeah. So apart from K6, we have integrated with Playwright, which is one of the most used CDP framework. Also Puppeteer, Tycho, and also not to forget Selenium. So Selenium is a widely used testing framework, which is mostly used by most of the developers out there. We also have integrated Selenium with Appium as well as Cypress. So we provide support for testing your applications on real Android devices, real iOS devices, tvOS, as well as we provide support with testing with your Linux machines, Windows, all of the versions of Windows as well as macOS. So we have multiple product lines related to testing your applications. Like you can test on the standard grid. You can test on the hyper execute, which is almost 70 to 80% faster as compared to the standard grid because of the way it's designed. We have SmartUI, which is the visual regression tool that concerns with comparing your screenshots with the baseline images. That is, you can simply have one particular screenshot of your UI, like how it was looking earlier, you made some changes, and maybe you are running it on cron daily, and you check if the screenshot matches. So if the so it can basically detect if there's any difference in the UI, and it will alert you. This has been integrated with all of our products, and yeah, these are most of our products.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ankur, I am interested to know about within the different frameworks. Do you see any trends, like some framework picking up, some framework going down, or maybe specifically for some type of user?
Yeah, so recently we have seen. So if we compare the recent frameworks, that is K6 or Playwright, Puppeteer, so these are built upon Chrome DevTools Protocol, which if we compare with the traditional WebDriver protocol, on which Selenium is built. Although WebDriver is a W3 standard, and so the way it's structured is like it internally sends an HTTP post request to the browser, or to the Selenium server. Like for example, if you want to navigate to google.com, so it will send a slash url post request to and with the body that you have to navigate to google.com. So what this does is, so for let's say you have 10 commands in your test, so it will basically trigger 10 http post requests. But as if we compare this with CDB, that is Chrome DevTools Protocol, it basically establishes persistent WebSocket connection from the user script to the browser itself. So due to this persistent WebSocket connection, it basically can send all of the events from the script to the browser, and from the browser to the user to the user script, which enables us to also get to know what are the events happening on the browser. Like for example, if I just go to LambdaTest.com, it not only loads the HTML document, it also loads hundreds of, not hundreds, but yeah, it loads various CSS files, JS files, the favicon, multiple XHR requests, some WebSocket requests, etc. So we get to know what are the events happening, that this request was initiated, the response for this particular request was received. um, let's say the page was loaded, or various DOM content loaded, etc. All these events are also communicated to the script. So because of this, we can take an action on by listening to these events as well. This is one of the major factor which is not available in the WebDriver protocol, because of which recently we have seen Selenium version 4. They have also integrated with CDB, that is Chrome DevTools Protocol.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
so with Selenium 4, you can also send these particular commands. Like for example, if you want to change the geolocation, or if you want to um, let's say if you want to get all the network commands, like whatever are being executed, whatever are being sent or being received, so that you can also do with Selenium. So
Nice.
the trends that we are seeing is like users are users are more adopting this frameworks built upon Chrome DevTools protocol
Mm.
because of its ease of use. Specifically, if I talk about ease of use, the Playwright's APIs and K6 APIs are much more matured uh, utilizing the Chrome DevTools protocols methods as compared to the Selenium's one. Although Selenium is progressing in each of the minor versions that they are releasing. So this has led to very faster early adoption of the CDP based frameworks. So yeah,
Yeah.
we are seeing this faster pace for CDP based frameworks.
That's an interesting observation. And I guess, like, if we just take a step back and maybe just define first what the Chrome DevTools protocol is, in case there are people who are not familiar with it. Based from my understanding, and correct me both if I'm wrong, but Chrome DevTools protocol is basically like a set of APIs that allow developers to basically communicate with not just Chrome, but with Chromium, based browsers. And I guess like the main difference that I could see between Chrome DevTools and WebDriver Protocol is, I remember with WebDriver, like it needs like a middleman. So it needs, like a browser driver. So you need to install like Chrome driver, for example, that basically sits between your test automation and your actual browser if you want to like run your browser tests. Whereas with Chrome DevTools Protocol, you can just interact with like the browser directly. But it's interesting because when I visited the um like the GitHub page for Chrome DevTools Protocol, like they've said that, oh, if like double think if you are using the Chrome DevTools protocol directly, it's much better if you use, testing frameworks such as, Playwright, Puppeteer, or for example, in our case, K6 browser. Because I think um, from if you're just interacting with the low level Chrome DevTools protocol, it might be more difficult or more tedious. Whereas if you use, testing frameworks like Playwright or, K6 browser, where we have encapsulated all those different like complexities, then it might be, better for users to use those frameworks instead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
So as per you mentioned, we cannot directly use, yeah, we can use the methods of Chrome DevTools protocol directly, but yeah, it's more tedious process. Like for example, with K6, if you wanna get a full page screenshot, let's say you navigated to google.com and you want to get the full page screenshot of the search results. So it internally encapsulates a number of commands, like checking what's the bounding rectangle, measuring the coordinates, and then getting all the screenshots. Let's assume it internally encapsulates 4 to 5 CDP commands, which it's a bit tedious process if we go on managing it ourselves. So yeah, it's far more better if we use K6 or Playwright, such frameworks as per needed.
Yeah. What might be good is if we can have an example on how K6 browser interacts with the Chrome DevTools protocol. So let's say you want to use a method to, I guess, add cookies to your browser context. So if you're using K6 browser, we do have a method called add cookies, and here is an example code. So you basically just do context that add cookies. But then behind that, like behind all of this simplicity, what's actually happening, in the K6 browser side of things. Let me just make that bigger so it's clearer. Is there's a lot of parsing of all the different like responses, the different requests that we want to send to Chrome DevTools protocol. And I think within K6 browser, so to simplify how we send the Chrome DevTools protocol commands as JSON messages over a WebSocket connection, we're actually using a third-party library called CD Proto. So we're also like leveraging like a Go wrapper because K6 is built using Go. So we are using a package in Go called CD Proto, and this basically allows us to send all the different like protocol commands without, I guess, dealing with all the complexity of like parsing all the different responses ourselves. But then, yeah, the actual like interaction here with the Chrome DevTools protocol. So in here, we can see that it's calling the storage.set cookies. And if I look at the Chrome DevTools protocol, so here is their set of APIs. So that's how K6 browser integrates with with the Chrome DevTools protocol. And I imagine it's probably be kind of similar, or more or less there's some like similarities with the other testing frameworks. So it's good that there are, like testing frameworks out there that basically simplifies on how you can or on how you can communicate with this protocol. I'd be interesting, though, to hear like from your perspective, because we talked about the WebDriver protocol. Do you see any, I guess, advantages over, the CDP protocol over the WebDriver protocol, or do you see some disadvantages like between the two? Like, do you have any thoughts around that?
Yeah, so if we look at both the protocols, each one has their pros. Like for example, if we consider WebDriver, it is a WTS standard, and it's being used since so many years, and like it has huge community backing to it. So like yeah, there are few cons. Like if we consider if we compare with CDP, like it's comparatively slower because it makes so many HTTP post calls as compared to CDP. As you mentioned, it has its driver, which sits between the user script as well as the remote machine. So basically, that browser specific driver, it's specific to OS browser and the browser version. It also changes as per the browser version. And maintaining this, like if you wanna run it locally, maintaining this is it's a tedious task. Plus, like as we mentioned, the events are not supported with WebDriver because of the nature of the uh, web protocol that it's using the HTTP methods for it. But yeah, looking at the pros, so it has support for even Internet Explorer. Like it has support for Internet Explorer, the lowest versions of Internet Explorer, the lowest versions of Chrome, Edge, Opera, Brave, and all the browsers. So yeah, like we cannot ignore the fact that many of the users are still using the older versions. Like I was just seeing at the statistics last week, I guess. I saw almost 2.5% of the users are still using Internet Explorer. Like, I mean, 2.5% might sound quite low, but assuming that
Yeah.
but looking at the billions of people daily using internet, it's quite substantial number. And yeah, there are various restrictions also. Like we can consider the corporate restrictions of not upgrading the browsers or not switching browsers, and also various users are just using the default browsers which comes installed with the OS. So yeah, we can also consider the previous browser versions which are just installed in the browsers, which are just installed in the operating systems, and users not upgrading them. So yeah, WebDriver also provides support for all these lower versions. Plus, uh, these are the pros. Plus, it also integrates with IPM to provide support for the testing of your iOS as well as Android applications. So, which is something lacking in CDP, because if we consider CDP, CDP provides support for testing the the websites, that is the web automation for Android. That is Playwright has just launched experimental support for it. We also recently launched experimental support for testing your web applications on real device Android phones recently. But yeah, so Playwright and all CDP framework doesn't provide any ability to test the Android apps or the iOS apps, which can be done with Selenium. So yeah, each one has their pros and cons, but yeah, it's about what suits your product.
Yeah.
And yes,
Choices,
Yeah.
having choices.
Yeah, it's there's a saying that you should really consider first like problems over
yeah, it's like
specific tooling. Yeah.
it's the it depends question.
Yeah, there's no straight answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting, yeah, to see. So I know we've been talking a lot about, Chrome DevTools Protocol and the different frameworks, and how K6 browser also uses Chrome DevTools Protocol. But I guess like we can now proceed to the main sort of star of today's episode, and that is like how can a K6 browser user, or like how can, I guess, someone who's familiar with Lambda tests, how do they get started with integrating K6 browser tests with the Lambda test platform?
Sure. Sure. I'll just share my screen. I hope it's visible.
Yep, we can see it. Yeah, all good.
Okay. Yeah. So talking about running K6 on Lambda test. So I'll just add the documentation here.
Yeah, let me share that as well to the
Okay.
stream.
So yeah, so this is a documentation that you can refer to understand how you can integrate K6 with Lambda test. So yeah, so it's very straightforward. You just have to set the Lambda test username and access keys, which are which has to be added in the environment here. Yeah, it has to be added in the environment here, and which can be added in the capabilities here.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically establishes a website connection with ctp.lambdatest.com/k6 with all the capabilities that you have added. Like here, you can add any random browser name and browser version. Like for example, Chrome, latest, macOS, Ventura. You can add maybe Windows 8 or macOS Mojave, even the older macOS versions. You can pass this build and the name of the test, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a test where we just create a new page and navigate to DuckDuckGo. We search for K6 and assert on the title. We assert that the
Mm-hmm.
title is K6 at DuckDuckGo, and we mark the test as passed or failed. So let us try
Mm-hmm.
to execute this first.
Just
So
a quick question, Anchor. If users want to get started with Lambda test, can they use it for free, or do they have to like sign up for like specific plans, or yeah.
yeah, so users can try it for free. We have
Nice.
trial plan also, where users can basically just sign up and can use the products for free. We have free tier. Also, we provide open source. Also, we provide licenses for the open source projects. If you are working on an open source project, you can try our you can try our products, and also you can try our test orchestration platform uh, that is hyper execute to execute all of these tests.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so when you sign up, you can just navigate to web automation. Yeah, and here you will get your access keys. Uh, so okay, also let me show you the capability generator for this. Yeah, so this is the capabilities generator. So whatever the capabilities that we are seeing here, so you can simply generate it from here. You can just select the language, the framework that you are using. You can just configure the browser and the browser version. You can just, if required, you can just add all these names and just copy this, and you can paste it in your project. So we will first try just executing the K6 sample file. So as you can see here, we have, this is the similar file. We have added the per view scenario. That is, this view means virtual users, Like here we have added virtual users as 2 and iterations as 2, which basically means it will trigger 4 tests. For each virtual user, it will trigger 2 iterations. So for the first test, let's try with 1. I'll just run the command, that is k6 run and the file name.
Yep. I guess I'm assuming that with this, you've set your environment variable
Yeah,
K6 browser enabled to true. Yep. So just for people
yeah,
who
yeah.
want to try K6 browser, because since it's still an experimental module, there is an environment variable that you do need to set, which is called K6 underscore browser underscore enabled. So you need to set that to true if you want to run a K6 browser test. Yeah.
So you can also set the environment while running your test.
Yeah.
It's just that I have
Nice.
added it in my environment, so I don't need to
Yeah.
edit it every time.
Mm.
So this is the test that's running. You can basically view the test in real time. So you can see
Nice.
the test running here, and you can see the command logs here, which are loading in real time.
That's really
So
cool because
so it
yeah,
basically,
you can see the video test run
yeah.
of how it's being run in the Chrome browser. Oh,
Yeah. So this video, it synchronizes with the commands that your script is sending. Like for example, it's sending this request, it's sending these JavaScript functions, etc. It's typing keys, then 6, and yeah, as you can see, it's typing this K6, and it's searching for that. So yeah, as we have seen, the test has been completed. These are all the warnings, and yeah, we can ignore these warnings. Um, but yeah, so the test has been completed. Let me play the
Ankur,
test.
Ankur, let me comment on the example because I was playing yesterday with the example. Maybe it would be good if
Okay.
we share also the example with everyone. So there is a function because me as a it's the first time that I try LambdaTest. So something that was different on the way that was using the connect function of K6. So normally when we run a browser test in K6, we just, I think the method is launch. So here what the user will do is to attach this Chrome to this remote instance on Lambda test. So that is different on how people usually run the browser that is locally to the machine that they run the test. But in that case, so it's going to be running exactly. It's going to be
Yeah.
connecting to the instance on the Lambda servers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so as you can see in the cases documentation, so if you wanna if you wanna launch your browser locally, you can simply use chromium.launch, which basically launches the Chromium browser present in your machine locally. You can pass headless true, false, whatever required. This script will basically run in your local system. But if you wanna run your script on a remote platform, uh, you have to use this chromium.connect function, which where you have to pass the WebSocket URL for this. So this WebSocket URL basically connects with the browser's WebSocket endpoint. And yeah, this is how all of the commands that you have written here, it gets sent to the browser, executed on the browser, and assertions are then executed here in locally.
yeah. Um, there's some interesting I think like extra feature that Lambda test can offer because looking back at the code, like I know with K6 browser there is that page that evaluate method which executes like JavaScript commands, and I can't help but notice that you have some specific action there called Lambda test action. So maybe you could explain what this is and how like what other I guess actions or like events ak6 user can use if they are integrating with your platform.
Yeah, sure. So here, as you can see, we have a try catch block here. So here we have an assertion that is expect title to be k6 at DuckDuckGo. Um, so um, so uh, so as I mentioned, the way CDP test execute is that the commands are being sent from here to the browser. That is the execution happens on the browser, But the assertions and whatever the business logic that you have written, it happens on your local script. So to record that whether the test has passed or not, we are using this particular function, that is page.evaluate, and this is a custom command that we have added, lambda test action, with the action as set test status. So you can basically set the status as passed or failed, and so in case of failed, you can simply add the error here,
Mm-hmm.
which and the error and all the stack trace that is present will be present here. Like for example, for this particular test, the status will be passed and remark will be assertions passed. So if I check
Yeah.
here, yeah, this is it. The remark is assertions passed. So this is how we are using this page.evaluate method to communicate to the lambda test that the test has been passed or failed. So there are also other actions that you can perform, like to get the test status. We have also added that in our documentation, that in case your test is running and uh, you want to get a data about the test, that what are the logs looking like, where are the screenshots. If you want to get uh, screenshots of that which were captured in your test videos and all the artifacts, you can basically use the get test status, sorry, the get test details action. Also, we
Mm-hmm.
have actions for the visual relation, that is yeah, that is fetch screenshot status, as well as take screenshot. Yeah, we will look at this later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so regarding the test that was executed on lambda test, you can see that yeah, this is the browser, and it synchronizes with the commands that script has sent here. I'll pause this. Yeah, you can view all the network commands that were sent from the browser. That is, like, for example, these are the documents. Uh, yeah, these are the HTML pages that were loaded. These are the media. There wasn't any media. Okay, these are the images. These are the CSS and JS files. So you can get to know what are the HTTP command that got failed, their type, method, and and whatever and all the metadata. You can even download that in your local. Like you can download the JSON logs or har logs. You can just view har logs in the har river. Regarding
Mm,
these
nice.
logs, these are the console logs. Like these are the console logs which gets printed in your browser's console. Like for example, these logs.
Yeah.
So these
Mm-hmm.
are the logs which can be useful in debugging, like if something went wrong. Like there can be any runtime error in your JavaScript code, which can be printed here. So all of these errors which gets printed in the browser console are uh, can be seen from here, and you can get to know like what's failing in which particular browser.
Yeah.
And this tab deals with metadata, like the basic information of the test. This is the input configuration that we have passed. These are the
Mm-hmm.
capabilities, and this is the region um, where the machine was allocated.
Something
Yeah.
to comment, Ankur, about the logs. So logs, as you say, are for the browser that is running, are not the
Yeah.
logs of the KSIG script. So it's very common that sometimes users use the logs to debug some information of their script. So they should not expect that those logs will appear there. So those are specifically the logs of the browser that is running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these
I
are
guess a
the
use case,
specific
yeah.
browser.
I guess a use case for that is if they want to see how many JavaScript exceptions occurred when they were running the test. Then the logs from your side will be able to show that, hey, there was a warning with this specific class or this specific file. So yeah, I think that's handy. But one thing that I've noticed, so I know, like, with the, like, if you go back to all commands, you can download, I guess, the har file. I don't know if you've tried, and maybe this is something that Pepe and I can try in the future, is because we have a converter like har to K6 converter. So I wonder
Oh,
if we can just download that har file, and then let's say a user wants to like simulate the browser test that they have, but in the protocol level, then they can easily just convert the browser session to a har file, and then to a K6 script that K6 can understand. So maybe, yeah, Pepe, we can try that in the future.
yeah, that's a very nice feature. Like we just need to download the har file, as the har file contains all of the requests that were spawned as a part of this test, and you are trying it with your API module. So it basically imitates what was generated as a part of this test.
There
Yeah.
is something Ankur, when you were running the test. I think this is an specific test, but you run 4 times the same test. I am correct? If you navigate back to that one, we will see now 4 runs of the same test, or only one.
No, so I had added
Okay,
virtual
you have
users and
one.
iterations as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay,
So for
one.
now, I have added it as one. We will also run with virtual users and iterations. So yeah, as I mentioned, so these are the yeah these are the status. This is the status of the test, that is passed or failed. We will try to fail a test, like for example, rather than k6 at go, I'll just add k6 at just duck. So essentially this test should fail. So let me trigger this again. Yeah. So as we see here, this test should ideally fail, and it should basically upload all of the yeah, it should upload the error which contains your error, as well as the error name, as well as the stack trace, as well as what was the difference in uh, what was the difference in the title. Like the title was
Mm.
K6 at the go, but we are expecting something else. So let's see on the dashboard. Yeah, this is the test. As we can see, this has been marked as failed. And yeah, as we can see here, we have an error here. So we can just expand it here, and yeah, we can see
Nice.
the name as assertion error and the message as expected K6 at go to equal K6 at duck. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it also gives you the yeah, it also gives you the stack list, and you can refer to this even after months to check like what went wrong before a month for this particular test. It gets stored here. So as we were discussing about the virtual users, let me try executing. I have a sample here of multiple scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could zoom in a little bit, Ankur, the code.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, okay, got it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Is this fine now?
Better. Oop.
It's too okay. I guess this is fine.
Yeah, that
Mary,
looks
is
good to
this fine?
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so we can check for this particular scenario. So we have two scenarios here, that is per view Chrome and per view MSH. So this will have two virtual users and two iterations of browser name Chrome, and the same for browser name Microsoft Edge. And we are utilizing this particular environment variable as a part of this browser name, as the value of this browser name. And this particular script will run for both the scenarios, for 2 and 2, that means 4 and 4. That means it will basically trigger eight tests. So
Yeah.
let me run this.
With the free tier that people can use, is there a limit as to how many I don't know, like
Parallels.
like how many sessions they can run with Lambda tests.
Uh, I guess they can run two in two parallels. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, users can run with two parallels, and
Mhm.
they can try all of the products.
Nice.
So
And they can, yeah, and they can also just, I guess, expand the capability option. So if they want it to run on a different operating system, that's also quite configurable.
yeah, so you can simply choose what the browser versions and um, and what the operating system that you wanna run on. You can just copy it from here, and you can just run it on the cloud. So
Nice.
as we can see here, we have four tests. Sorry, four tests on Chrome and four tests on Microsoft Edge. That is the latest version is 111, and for Chrome it's 114.
Hmm.
So we see all of the tests have been passed. Yeah. So this is how parallelism works, and this is how it basically helps in bringing down the test execution time. Like
Yeah, it's quite fast. Yeah.
yeah, it's quite fast. If you consider a test bit, like let's say you have a product, and let's assume that your test bit contains just 100 tests. 100 tests is quite small test bit. But considering 100 tests, and considering that you want to run it across all of most of the browsers and browser versions, like take example you know, of macOS Ventura, macOS Mojave, Big Sur, Windows 8, etc., and Chrome latest minus one, latest minus 25. Like if you want to run it on Chrome 114 or Chrome 90, etc. Let's say, and you want to run it on some random geolocations, considering some 10. Considering some 10 cases and 100 test cases that we have, it will lead to one test case running on 10 different in 10 different scenarios. That means in total 500,000 test cases. So I mean, and considering that one test case just takes up 1 minute, it will
Hmm.
lead to 1,000 minutes. I mean, 1,000 minutes. How much is it? 1,000 by 60, 16 hours. Like, yeah, I mean, no one can wait for 16 hours for a build to complete. That means you have to wait for 16 hours to get to know that this drop down is not functioning. And
Yeah,
then
that's
again,
true.
basically, the developer feedback time is quite long. And if you are executing it in um, sequentially, that means one parallel. Here's what parallelism offers. Consider you are running with two parallels. It just drops to 500 minutes. Consider
Hmm.
10 parallels, it drops to 100 minutes. Consider 100 and consider 100 parallels. Like it just drops to 10 minutes. Like you can just get to know what's breaking in just 10 minutes. And so this basically leads to very faster response times. Like you can get to know like if this is breaking, if this particular dropdown is not working, you can just quickly fix it. So what this concurrency leads to is very lesser test execution time, and quicker time to and quicker time to, and you can just quickly release your product to market and more reliably. So so yeah, you can utilize the concurrency here. As you can see here, I have the parallels 0 of 20. That means
Hmm.
I can basically execute parallels up to 20, and I can have tests queued up to 150. So you can even depending upon your use case, and depending upon how many tests you have, uh, and how faster you want to ship your product, you can utilize hundreds to thousands of parallels depending upon how many tests you have. uh,
That's
so
awesome.
as we
Yeah.
saw here,
Cool.
yeah.
Something that I noticed, Ankur, when comparing how we were running the test. So there is the concept here about the K6 test, but we were calling in K6 an iteration. So what, like for every test that is there, is what you are also naming as an iteration. Is that correct? So you are running
uh,
here 2 plus 2. So
Iteration,
those
that
are,
means this one.
yes. Yes, iteration plus 2 views. That means 4 iterations of this
Yeah,
and 4 iteration of the other.
this one.
So
Yeah,
you are running 8 iterations that it's converted to 8 tests into Lambda test service.
yeah. So here we ran 8 tests parallelly. So as we can see, we have 4 tests of Chrome and 4 tests of Microsoft Edge.
Mm,
We can see here. So this was of the
yes.
previous run. We have four
Mhm.
tests of Chrome and 4 tests of Microsoft Edge.
Mm.
Cool.
So this is how you
Um,
can utilize scenarios.
yeah. I guess another like cool feature, and you've mentioned this like briefly a while ago, was the visual like aspect, because K6 browser like currently, we can't do like visual validation, but that is something that Lambda tests can offer. So would you be okay to demonstrate like how that works, and how, yeah, like how the visual validation works, but yeah, maybe after like looking at this report.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. That's a very cool feature. But yeah, regarding the reports, so yeah, you can import HTML report plugins, and this is a generic function that is a handle summary that you can add to all of your tests, and yeah, generate your reports. So this was the
Mhm.
report of the previous run that we the previous test that we ran. This is of this K6 scenario summary report is for this particular test that we ran. And yeah, as you can see, there was total 703 requests. 703 requests means like this contains all of the XHR calls, some JS and CSS calls that were spawned as a part of your test. So yeah, you can basically check all the request metrics here: the request HTTP request
Mhm.
duration, the connection time, TLS handshake, etc. And yeah, these are the configurations that you had, like
Yeah.
virtual users and iterations, and these are the assertions. Like we were expecting K6 at DuckDuckGo to equal K6 at DuckDuckGo, and there were eight test cases, and all of them passed.
Yeah.
So you can basically add all these thresholds here. Like in thresholds, you can add like HTTP request duration average should be less than 20 to 50 milliseconds, or the P95 should be less than 300 milliseconds, or whatever.
Yeah.
So you can take all of this.
Just quickly, Anchor. So before you proceed into the thresholds, we have a question from Manish. So he's asking, but with more parallel execution in cloud, the costs also will rise, right? So would you happen to give some overview as to how, I guess, the parallel costing works within Lambda tests, or yeah, some generic
Yeah.
observation around that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so the pricing depends upon the number of parallels that you have. Also, although let's say you have 100 parallels, you can basically run hundreds of parallels in for as long as you have. We don't charge for the amount of time that you are running. We just charge for the concurrency that you are utilizing. Like let's say you're utilizing the concurrency of 100 parallels, and you can basically run hundreds of parallels for the whole day. So yeah, but what values offers the value that it offers is like your test execution time just drops to as we saw, like with 100 parallels, 1,000 minutes will just drop to 10 minutes, and you don't have to wait for 16 hours. You can just wait for 10 minutes and get the feedback time, and just ship it to production. And this is the value that it will add. And along with that, you can ship your product more reliably and with confidence.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we were talking about the smart
Threshold.
visualization feature.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that it would be cool to see that, because we don't natively support visual
Yeah,
regression. So wondering how users can leverage that within Lambda tests.
yeah. So visual regression is it's a very cool feature where you can just get a screenshot of your page. Like for example, um, let's say I'm on. this particular page. I'm just taking it. I can just take a screenshot of this particular page at the time of the first run, and at a time and when you are running some subsequent runs. Let's say you have a test bed and you are running it as a part of a cron job, and so as a part of the next cron job that will run, it will basically um, compare the screenshot that was captured as a part of the next test with the baseline. The baseline is the image that was captured as a part of the first test. So it will highlight what were the differences between the tests, between the images, as it does pixel by pixel comparison of the screenshots, and thereby you can get to know if something breaks, like if
Mm-hmm.
some UI feature basically shifts something to the right, or some colors change. It basically recognizes any colors change as well as any layout shift as well. So let's take a look at it. So here I have two scenarios. These are also per virtual users scenarios. Okay, so I am running it on Chrome as well as Microsoft Edge. So let's say, so here what I'm doing is I'm just navigating to DuckDuckGo, searching for K6, and asserting on a title, and then getting. Okay, I'm capturing the screenshot here. So this
Mm-hmm.
capture a smart UI screenshot. I hope the text is visible. Yeah.
Yes.
What this does is it basically executes the action smart UI.text screenshot, and adds the screenshot name that you had specified here.
Yep.
So this will when we will run this at the first time, it will basically generate a baseline image, and the next time when we run it, it will compare the images captured at that particular point with the previous ones. So let's say I run this particular test. So this will run two tests, one on Chrome as well as one on Microsoft Edge. Yeah, as we can see here, you can get real time updates about what are the tests, um, what are the tests spawned by your CI or any cron job that were running by your potentials, or if your colleague as a part of the same team is running any tests. So we can see here it's running on Chrome 114 and Microsoft Edge 111. So you can navigate to Smart UI from here, from the left hand sidebar. So these are the build names. So as you can see, I have the project name specified as homepage. So these are the capabilities for Smart UI. Uh, the project name is homepage, and the build name that I have passed here is build one. So
Mm-hmm.
project name is basically uh, a name of one simple project, or you can just say one particular product. So as I'm just checking for a homepage here, I have added a project name as homepage. Build name can correspond to your build name can correspond to your test run. Like for example, you can just add it as build 1 2 3, or you can add it as commit ID of your commit ID of the last commit, or anything random.
Mm-hmm.
So as we can see, this homepage was my yeah, this was my project, and it has only one build, that is build underscore one, and it has two screenshots. So there isn't anything to compare here, because this is the first screenshot. This is the screenshot
Yeah.
for, you can see, Chrome 114, and this one is for Edge 111. So these are the full page screenshots basically. So you can get the whole screenshot here, and you can compare the whole screenshot in the next ones. We have a settings icon here where you can specify the settings, like any error, highlight color, resizing, transparency, etc. And this is and for this particular setting, that is custom mismatch or acceptance rate. So you can you can add any we have labels like approved or rejected or under screening for any screenshots. So you can set it to, let's say if I set it to 10%. Yeah. If the mismatch percent is less than 10%, it will be auto approved. And if it is and let's say I set the reject percentage to 11%. So basically, if there's more than that, as we have 10% as acceptance, as the acceptance criteria, and if there's more than 10% of mismatch, it will be auto rejected. So let me save the settings.
A very cool feature.
Yeah. So I'm changing the build name as build 2 and running once again.
So the second time it's run, I'm guessing because the baseline is already saved, so that will
Yeah.
just compare it with the baseline. Nice.
Yeah. So similarly, so we can consider this as the test ran by a cron job for the next step.
Mm.
So this is for Chrome as well as Edge. This one is passed, and this one is also, I guess, this will also get passed. Uh, as a part of this particular test, what we are yeah, so we are after the assertions, we are validating the screenshots, like what is the status of screenshots.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular command, that is page.evaluate fetch screenshot data status, this function evaluates the state of the screenshots, like if it was approved or it was rejected. So when the test was passed, that means if it was approved, that means the mismatch percentage was much more lesser. It was lesser than 10%, and hence it was approved. So we can safely assume that there wasn't any layout shift or there wasn't any color change, and we can just shift this to production. So
Nice.
we can check the screenshots here. Yeah, this is the build 2 that we just ran. Yeah, so
Awesome.
we have.
Well, I think we've almost run out of time now, Anchor. But what I've done is because I think there's still a lot of super cool test scripts that you've written. I saw that there's also the script for the geolocation. So
Yeah.
if there are people who want to check out the GitHub project, which contains all the different scripts that Anchor has demonstrated, and there are additional ones in there as well. Then check out the GitHub project that I've shared here. I guess like if people want to reach out to you, Anchor, like what like I think as part of the video description we've added your LinkedIn, your Twitter, like your other social media handles. So if you're interested to reach out to Anchor and speak more about the K6 browser and LambdaTest integration, don't hesitate to reach out.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you,
Well,
Ankur,
yeah.
Yeah.
for joining
Thank
us.
you. Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much
Thank you,
for
Mary. Thank you,
joining.
Pepe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bye.
we'll be back next week with another episode. So I think next week we're gonna have one of the maintainers of a K6 extension join us. So we'll talk about his experience creating the extension, and he'll demonstrate what he's done with the extension. But yeah, hope you all learned something new today. So it's great that we can also integrate with other tools out there. And yeah, hopefully everyone will have a great weekend, and see you all next week.
See you all.
See you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.